With Silent Hill 2, Bloober Team had a chance to revive a long-running series that has been laying dormant for a long time. Did they succeed or not? Find out now in the review. Silent Hill 2 is a remake of the original Silent Hill 2 that came out on PS2 back in 2001. With this being a remake, there are some things that are the same from the original, but Bloober Team did add a little bit of padding from what I understand. In the story, you play as James. His dead wife sends him a message that tells him, "I'm waiting for you in Silent Hill." James gets this and decides to go to Silent Hill to rescue his wife. The ensuing horror is what draws you in. Their story is very, very good. And I'm not going to spoil anything like that. So we're going to stop talking about spoilers with the story. But I will say there are multiple endings. I only got one ending because you have to play through multiple times to get the other ones. And I do plan on doing that. However, from the regular ending, I did enjoy myself the entire time. I do think there were some sections that dragged, and there were parts of the story that just were never answered. Like, there is a part, and this isn't really spoiler, but, whatever. There's a part where you're going down an elevator and someone gives you trivia questions, and he's like, "Oh, you got to keep an eye on these. Remember these, because they're going to come up later." They never came up. I don't know if I missed something and they do come up, or if I'm stupid and I just didn't realize it, but all the questions that he gave just went nowhere. So there were some things that were left unanswered. I don't know if these are going to come up in different endings or whatnot, but for the ending I did get, I have no idea why those trivia questions were up there. And like I said, there were some areas just dragged way too long. Now, other than the story, the game is beautiful. Graphically, it just looks phenomenal. There are some things with their facial expressions that just look a kind of stale and just non-animated, but overall, I think the game just looks fantastic. There are sections that are incredibly dark, and playing during the day, I had to cover every single one of my windows. I had to make sure the lights were off because I couldn't see anything at all. And there aren't any brightness settings or anything like that that would have allowed me to increase it to make it to where I could see better. I even had my TV on max brightness, and there was just some sections that you just cannot see whatsoever. I don't know if that's by design or what, but it just was little bit frustrating trying to focus on dark corridors with impending doom around every corner, and I can't see shit. It's like if my contacts were out. I just can't see anything, and that's how I felt on a lot of sections in Silent Hill 2. Now, Silent Hill 2 is a survival horror, and what I love about this game is you really have to focus on your ammo and your health. I've played through every single Resident Evil, and Resident Evil 4 is by far my favorite one, and I still think that is my favorite horror game, but having to manage your health and manage your ammo, I feel like isn't that big of a thing in Resident Evil. Yeah, I'm focusing on it and I'm like, okay, got to make sure I have enough, but I always felt like I have enough. In Silent Hill, I never felt that way. I never had a moment where I was like, yeah, don't worry, I have enough health. All the time I was struggling trying to find one more health vial or, just a little bit more bullets because I have no more. I even had a time where I had no health and no bullets and I was shitting bricks as a nurse was coming at me. It's just that type of horror around every corner that makes Silent Hill as good as it is. Now, talking about horror around every corner, Bloober Team did a fantastic job of scaring the living shit out of me. There were multiple times in this where I literally let out a scream or I jumped. My wife played through the entire game with me, and we were both just shitting bricks at times. They did a fantastic job at figuring out the perfect moment to do a jump scare, or you can see an enemy, that enemy's there, and they still end up scaring you. It's just a brilliant, brilliant game, and the amount of horror and scaredness I got, whoo boy, I'm still scared, and I've finished the game. So they just did a great job with the horror aspect, and I think if you are a fan of horror, this is a definite game that you should be playing. Now, the game runs fantastic. I didn't really run into too many glitches. I ran into one graphical glitch where, things were like kind of twitching. I also did run into a few gameplay glitches where I had James try and like move, and he was getting clipped onto objects, so I couldn't move correctly. Things along that nature. I did have a few times where I killed an enemy. There's one, and I'll show most of these on the screen, but there's one I killed an enemy, and he was laying on the ground and just slid backwards out a door. And I was like, okay, got a good chuckle out of that. I've had multiple times where an enemy that I had killed prior is no longer laying dead, they're standing up. And so you think that they're an enemy again, and you end up wasting bullets on it. And in a game where every single bullet matters, wasting a bullet on a dead enemy is just very frustrating. And like I said, I'll have most of this up there so you can see. But yeah, there was just those little gripes like that that kind of hurt the score a little bit. And with the padding issues where I felt like the game just dragged on in one or two different areas, there weren't a lot of gripes, but those were my main concerns. Overall, if you're a fan of survival horror, if you're a fan of Silent Hill and you have not tried this yet, get Silent Hill 2. It is worth it. It is a fantastic game. Bloober Team, I think they did a fantastic job at reviving a series that's been dormant for a long time. I really, really hope that they can make a new Silent Hill. Give them the keys, say, hey, drive the car, and make a brand new Silent Hill. I did see some stuff where Konami was talking about possibly letting them work on a franchise, but they didn't say what. And after seeing what they did with this franchise, I hope that we can get a brand new Silent Hill because they did an absolutely fantastic job. I would give Silent Hill 2 a 9 out of 10. I do think with the technical glitches and everything, when we get a few patches in, those aren't going to be present anymore. I do think the padding stuff, we're not going to see that get changed. The puzzles were great in the game. There's just so many good things in this, and I highly suggest you trying it out if you're a fan of horror. If you're looking for the platinum, you're going to have to play through multiple times. You're going to have to make sure to get all the collectibles, and then you're going to have to do little things here and there. I would suggest looking at a guide to make sure you don't miss anything. If you have any questions about the game, let me know in the comments down below. As always, this is Chris with Platinum Reviews. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. What are you doing? You're missing out. Thank you so much for watching. Keep getting those trophies, and I'll catch you on the next video.